Hello, this is 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐞𝐭. I'm the royalty published author of the award-winning book Juggling the Issues Living with Asperger's Syndrome, and I'm grateful to see how many people it's helping around the world. And in this video I want to just explain a typical dream that a lot of us have that's not necessarily a good dream. I had it last night, and I decided to post it on Facebook, Twitter, and now YouTube, and I thought I'd just expand on it. This is what we go through typically, but anyway, I put on Twitter, I had another dream. It was the usual. When neighborhood kids begin to point, laugh, tease, taunt, and say things to me. But this time was different. I finally got through to them and made them fully understand those who are different. Their faces really showed remorse over what they've done. I woke up, alas, but I would hope that we became friends. It's all I ever want. I hate these lifelong dreams because they couple reality for me as an autistic to an extent. But this one finally, after 25 years, had a decent ending. So just to unload that, it was another dream that I typically have, a usual dream here and there, when people, not always children, but people in general in other dreams, just begin to, they do something, but it's so disapproving. They could point, laugh, tease, taunt, and say things, or they could be just mad just because I exist and I'm in their presence and such. I actually recently had a dream probably a week or two ago. These dreams are typically like once a month or every other month or two, but I mean they aren't like every single night, and unfortunately I wouldn't be surprised if people do have these most nights, and that's part of why I'm coming out. It's not just to unload what I go through, but to spread awareness of what we go through. And so in these dreams I typically like get an opportunity to turn around and just speak back, defend myself, confront them, something that I wish I do in real life. And again, and as I said before, when I say confront, I don't mean like a knockdown, drag out fight or anything like that. I'm not talking about yelling back or anything, but just gently explaining what they're doing is demeaning and degrading. And yeah, some are misunderstandings. Most it's based on how I look, maybe how I sound and such. And dreams are usually the worst because the most out of reality thing happens in dreams. Like sometimes I find myself in these situations. I recently had a dream probably a couple or several months ago where a person said something against me and such right in my presence, and I turn around like what did you just say? I mean, I know what he said, but I'm like, what did you say? And then he starts to like chuckle and smirk and laugh and such, like oh boy, I didn't think that you heard type reaction and such. And I just wanted to talk to that person, just explain how he made me feel, just to advocate for myself, but also at the same time advocate for everybody else so that he doesn't repeat that to other people. So in this dream specifically, I found myself in that I had last night. I found myself in back at my old house, and I don't know, I was in my room. It was the strangest thing, and behind my house, I'm not sure why two people would be there anyway, but two kids were playing, or more like teenagers were playing, and they were able to see through the thick blue tarp into my room, and they were just like laughing and joking amongst themselves, and I saw that they were peering in. They were pressing their face against the tarp, and for some reason the tarp was shadowy but transparent, or no, it was more like translucent. Oh, that's the right word for it. And I knew that when they saw, anybody that just sees me, I just get this feeling that they're just going to point and laugh for some reason, because that's happened in reality, that's happened in real life. And you could just go to tons of my other YouTube videos if you want more stories about it. But they, sure enough, they did, and you know, it's the strangest dreams, because you know, the dreams aren't like reality. You may know where you are, and you may know who you're talking to, but when you wake up, you realize, well, I knew where I was, but that didn't look like my house or my neighborhood. And I knew who that person was, but didn't look the same. I mean, I'm sure that everybody could relate to that. But I found myself, you know, I was outside, and then I was inside, because, you know, now I have the courage in my dream. Now I'm going to, you know, confront them, and I was just starting to ask them, like, about, I forget exactly, like, why, or what is it with me and such. And they said something, they said something that was so demeaning. It was against my life in a way, like, I forget, but it's like a you shouldn't have been born type movement, or you're just so, you know, name calling is what follows, or something like that. And I'm like, okay, all right. Then and I continue, because I was trying to get to a point, and finally I got that point, and that was when I saw on their faces that they started to understand. They started to be remorseful. I mean, there's a couple of other things that that were said that are irrelevant, because there's another person there, but anyway, never mind. And it didn't have anything really much to do, but this person was going along with what I stood up for, which is equality for everybody, not just autistics like myself, and such. And they just felt contrite, and of course, if you know me, that's not exactly what I want. I want everyone to just be, you know, just be happy and feel good about, you know, who they are, and be friends with everybody else despite the disability, and that the people with disabilities, either physical or developmental, would, you know, just feel belonging and acceptance themselves and such. But sometimes you've got to, for those people, they've got to understand what hurt they caused other people and such. But at the same time, I don't want them to dwell over it personally. A lot of people, even people on my boat, seek revenge, and they want them to, you know, feel like a mess for 20 years, or depressed for 20 years after what they've done. Such is not the case for me. I don't know what that would even do anyway. But I saw on their faces, I think there was even tears in their eyes once they realized who I was, and you know, that, you know, everybody's different and such, and what I've done and what I'm doing to fight for equality. I mean, in real life, I'm currently fighting what I believe is censorship and shadow banning against me for, you know, speaking out for autistic rights, and in this movement. The whole world needs to be have autism acceptance, not just awareness. And I believe that, or I have reason to believe, I don't believe it, I have reason to believe that I'm censored and shadow banned all over social media for standing up for that equality, not just autism, but everyone. So you might be asking, well, what's the proof or the evidence? Well, I may not have ironclad proof, but at the same time I do. But I made a video, and I'm still debating whether or not I should make that video. And I probably will, because I'm in the fight. I'm going to make it my life, for my life's mission, so that 7.8 billion people and the next generation, or 2 or 3 or 4, could finally understand us for who we are at all costs, no matter what. That we're just like you and me. We're usually like friendly and loving, and just wanting to give back and spread cheer and such. And people have got to understand that about us. So and usually in these cases, I get so wound up in my dream that is what wakes me up and such. And that's what happened. But this time was a bit different, because we sort of made amends, I guess. And again, I've been having these dreams off and on for several years, and I hate them. I loathe them, because they bring back a lot of a reality. Now, I mean, I could go on and drag this on, recalling tons of other dreams, but I think you get the point. And if you have autism yourself, or if you're a parent or family member or friend of a person with autism that might seem to be going through troubling times like this, or maybe not responsive as usual or so, I'm not saying it's a dream, but it might be. I mean, they might be nervous to explain that they're even having dreams about this. It's possible. So, but it could be other things as well. Maybe something that happened in school. I have a video about soliloquies, if you're curious, and explaining what causes soliloquies, how they're detrimental for us. Chapter 17 of my book is about, it's titled An Olive Branch in the Soliloquy. I go all into it in that chapter, including telling real life stories that happen. I have other videos like bullying and autism, or bullying and discriminated for having autism series. Not a playlist, but it's in my Autism Awareness and Acceptance playlist. If you're curious, those are a little bit lengthy, but I explain real life stories that have happened to me, and like at least in one case how I turned it around and, you know, gave back. Like, for instance, I was at Ralph's. It was August 21st, 2017, a Monday, and it was about 12:40 in the afternoon, and I was at the Ralph's in Newport Beach, and there's these two boys, two teenagers, coincidentally, that you know, you just gotta watch the video, but they're basically making, like, teasing, taunting, and such, and I could tell, but I turned the tables at the end, and I let them go in front of me in line. But it's a long story. You've got to. Oh no, you don't got to, but I invite you to watch those if you want, or watch that one if you want. And again, I'm still building up the courage, but you know, it's like, do I really want, like, peace and equality for everybody in the entire world, or am I just going to cave in and such? And I'm like, I've got to, like, stand up for what I believe in, and I will probably soon make that YouTube video that I've already filmed. I just need to edit it, showing how I believe I'm censored and shadow banned and such. But that's a whole long explanation. And you know, it's the perpetrators would be like the social media accounts: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, and such. But it's all laid out in that video, and I hope I did a good job arguing for it and such. But I believe it's true, and all I care about is to, you know, have a world of relative peace. And I know it's not going to be world peace, but relatively speaking, that everybody would understand, put aside their differences, be a friend to one another and such, and that way I could finally go outside my apartment, and everybody else could go outside their houses without fear of having at least one person, you know, look at them in a way that makes them feel and makes them think that that person is, like, telling them through their mind, like, you shouldn't be living, you shouldn't be in this city, in this state, in this country, you should move, you should leave to Mars where you belong and such. I mean, that's how people view us and such, and not just autism, but, you know, Down syndrome, muscular dystrophy, cerebral palsy, so many other disabilities and such. And that's what I can't stand. That's why I royalty published a book, not self-published, so because I'm serious about getting on that platform, speaking to billions and billions of people in this generation and the next. And I will never give up on that. That and becoming a middle school math and science teacher simultaneously, because I care for that age group. I see potential in them when most of them, not all of them, but a lot of them don't in that age. And that's a problem. And a lot of people think that, you know, when I told somebody that I wanted to be a middle school math and science teacher, the first thing that they said was, God bless you, and such. And I've heard so many things about the age group. You know, I find potential in them, and I care for them, when apparently a lot of people just don't want to, like, build up the patience for them and such. But I have patience and such. And so anyway, I could keep on going on and on, but I hope I made the point about, especially the main point in this video is dreams. Well, anyway, stay encouraged. If you are autistic yourself, and heck, if you're not autistic but have another disability, or even if you're not disabled, well, you have a purpose. If you're just depressed, in your life, just motivate yourself. You have purpose, you have a calling, you have a reason to live. There is a reason why you're here. You have passions inside of you, some that you need to find, and you're going to use that passion to fulfill your calling in life, and at the same time doing what you love to do and such. We're all in this together, and that's my encouragement that I just want to give you, as well as don't give up on your passions as well. And of course I put the plural form of passion. It's not passion, it's passions and such. And it's just up to you to live by these words, and other words that people have spoken to you. Like, don't let these go in your ear and out the other, but actually act on them. Otherwise, they're just words that you're listening to. So whenever you're listening to this, morning, noon, or night, whatever month, whatever season, just continue to stay blessed and stay safe.